There's a mountain in Colorado that locals have started calling by a different name. Not on any official map, just a nickname that stuck. They call it Billionaire Mountain. It's technically Red Mountain, rising above downtown Aspen, and on it sits some of the most expensive residential real estate on Earth, commanding roughly $8,500 per square foot among its top properties. Jeff Bezos owns property here. So do dozens of others, whose names rarely make headlines. Here's the number. That should genuinely surprise you. 1 in every 67 residents of Aspen has a net worth of at least $30 million. Not 1 in every 67 homeowners on the mountain. 1 in 67 people in the entire town. And Aspen isn't an isolated story. It's one visible piece of a much larger, much quieter pattern. While most of the world has spent the last decade obsessing over beachfront property, the ultra-wealthy have been moving in the opposite direction, upward. High-altitude land, from the Rockies to the South Island of New Zealand to private plateaus most of us will never hear about, has become one of the fastest-growing categories in ultra-luxury real estate. The reasons aren't just about ski access or mountain views. Investigations into the luxury bunker industry have documented a roughly 300% increase in high-end underground shelter sales between 2020 and 2024 alone. One report on the broader luxury prepper shelter market puts year-over-year demand growth an almost unbelievable 2,000%. Climate instability, water security, geopolitical uncertainty, even according to some of the buyers themselves, concern about the technology they're personally building. Altitude, it turns out, solves several of the ultra-wealthy's biggest anxieties at once, and land at the top doesn't get made twice. In this video, we're breaking down exactly why elevation has become the new status symbol among the ultra-rich, the real climate and security logic behind it, the specific places where this money is flowing right now, and what it means when the world's wealthiest people start quietly buying up the highest ground on the planet. Welcome to WealthVaultX. This is the climate fortress economy, and it's already been built, one mountain at a time. To understand why the ultra-wealthy are moving up in elevation, you have to understand what they're moving away from. For decades, waterfront property was the undisputed gold standard of luxury real estate. Ocean views, private beaches, yacht access. But water brings a specific, growing risk that no amount of money can fully insure against. Rising sea levels, stronger storm systems, and coastal flooding that's become measurably more frequent over the past 2 decades. High-altitude land solves several of those risks simultaneously, almost by geography alone. Elevation provides natural insulation from flooding and rising seas. Mountain regions typically offer more reliable, naturally filtered water sources. A genuinely underrated concern among buyers thinking decades, not years ahead. And remote, high-elevation terrain is inherently harder to access, which functions as a built-in layer of physical security most coastal properties simply can't replicate. There's also a temperature dimension few people think about. As global average temperatures climb, higher elevations stay measurably cooler than low-lying regions, turning altitude itself into a kind of passive climate control that doesn't depend on infrastructure, power grids, or air conditioning that could fail during crisis. Put together, you get what industry analysts increasingly call a climate haven. A location whose fundamental geography protects it from the specific risks the ultra-wealthy are most worried about in 2026. Extreme weather, resource scarcity, and social instability during crisis. This isn't a fringe theory confined to a few paranoid buyers. It's shown up directly in the data. Luxury mountain markets like Aspen have proven remarkably resilient even during broader real estate slowdowns, with 2026 market reports noting that prices held steady even through a historically low snowpack winter. Because buyers increasingly value the location itself, independent of any single season's conditions. Altitude isn't just scenery anymore. It's become a genuine risk management strategy, dressed up as a vacation home. Nowhere illustrates this shift better than Aspen's Red Mountain, the peak locals now simply call Billionaire Mountain. The clustering effect here is remarkable. Among the top 5% of Aspen's most valuable homes, price per square foot regularly hits roughly $8,500, a figure that rivals the most exclusive urban penthouse markets on Earth. Despite Red Mountain being, geographically, just a hillside above a small Colorado town. Jeff Bezos is among the mountain's most prominent owners, but he's far from alone. Aspen now has, according to reporting from the Times, the nation's highest concentration of ultra-high net worth property owners of any luxury market in the country. The Red Mountain properties command what real estate insiders call the Aspen Triangular View. Hunter Creek, Aspen Mountain, and Independence Pass, all visible simultaneously from a right lot. But the real value isn't just the view. It's the altitude-driven privacy, steep, difficult terrain that naturally limits how many properties can ever be built and how easily anyone uninvited can reach them. This scarcity compounds over time in a way flat land simply can't replicate. Strict zoning protects the town's character and limits new development, meaning the supply of buildable high-altitude lots essentially cannot expand to meet growing demand. Every additional billionaire who wants and has to outbid the ones already there. There's no way to simply build more mountain. And Aspen is no longer purely a winter phenomenon either. 2026 market data shows summer demand, driven by hiking, fly fishing, and cultural programming, now rivals the traditional ski season, meaning the mountain draws serious buyer interest essentially year-round. What started as a mining town in the 1800s has become a live case study in what happens when genuine geographic scarcity meets a buyer class actively searching for exactly that kind of protection. Altitude alone isn't the whole strategy. For a specific tier of ultra-wealthy buyers, what's being built underneath the property matters just as much as the view above it. New Zealand's South Island has become the global epicenter of this trend. Reporting from Bloomberg and Business Insider documented hundreds of millionaires and billionaires from Europe and the United States commissioning underground shelters here between 2016 and 2024 alone. These aren't simple storm cellars. Units built by specialty firms like Rising S Company run between $2.5 million and $10 million, sometimes exceeding 300 square meters of finished living space, complete with the kind of high-end finishes you'd expect in an above-ground mansion. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman put the cultural code plainly in an interview years ago. Buying property in New Zealand had become industry shorthand for what he called apocalypse insurance. Peter Thiel obtained New Zealand citizenship and purchased a nearly 500-acre estate near Lake Wanaka. Underground shelter network VivoS installed a 300-person capacity bunker on the South Island in 2020. The scale of the broader luxury bunker market backs up just how mainstream this has become among the ultra-wealthy. Industry reporting has tracked roughly a 300% increase in high-end bunker sales between 2020 and 2024, with some analyses of the broader luxury prepper shelter category citing year-over-year demand growth north of 2,000%. Even Silicon Valley's AI leadership has been drawn into this specific conversation. Multiple reports describe tech figures, including Sam Altman, discussing New Zealand as part of a personal contingency plan. A striking detail, given these are often the same people building the very technology they're privately preparing to shelter from. Altitude buys distance from rising water and heat. What's built beneath it buys distance from almost everything else. Aspen and New Zealand are the two most visible data points, but they're part of a genuinely global pattern that's still expanding in 2026. High-altitude regions across the Andes, the Alps, and remote plateaus in North America are increasingly showing up in the same conversations among wealth advisors and luxury real estate brokers, locations chosen specifically for the combination of elevation, water security, and physical isolation that made Aspen and New Zealand so attractive in the first place. There's a deeper shift happening underneath the individual property purchases too. Some researchers studying this trend describe it less as simple disaster prepping and more as an attempt by the ultra-wealthy to develop and control an entire self-sufficient ecosystem of their own: water, food, energy, and security, all under one roof, in one location, insulated from systems everyone else still depends on. That framing matters because it explains why this trend keeps accelerating even in years without an obvious crisis driving it. It's not purely reactive. It's a standing strategy built years or decades in advance for a buyer class that increasingly assumes some form of future disruption, climate, technological, or geopolitical, is simply a matter of time. the zoning and legal friction is real too. Peter Till's original plan for an elaborate underground lodge in New Zealand was ultimately rejected after conflict with the local council, a reminder that even unlimited capital doesn't guarantee unlimited access to the highest, most desirable ground. Scarcity cuts both ways. It drives up value, and it makes acquisition genuinely difficult even for the world's richest buyers. What's emerging by 2026 isn't just a real estate trend. It's a quiet, global map of where the ultra-wealthy believe safety will actually exist in the coming decades, and increasingly, that map points up. So what does a mountain in Colorado and a bunker in New Zealand actually teach us about wealth in 2026? 3 lessons. Lesson 1. At the highest level of wealth, real estate has quietly become risk management wearing the disguise of lifestyle. The ski access and mountain views are real, but they're not the whole story. Altitude itself has become a hedge against the specific risks this buyer class worries about most: climate volatility, resource scarcity, and social instability. Lesson 2. True scarcity still beats manufactured scarcity. A brand can always produce more inventory eventually. Nobody can produce more buildable land on Red Mountain or more high-altitude plateaus with reliable water sources. That's the purest form of scarcity that exists, geographic, permanent, and completely outside anyone's control to expand. Lesson 3. The ultra-wealthy increasingly plan in decades, not years. Buying a bunker-equipped estate in New Zealand or a compound on Billionaire Mountain isn't a response to this year's headlines. It's a bet on where safety and stability will matter most 20 or 30 years from now, made early, quietly, and years before most people even recognize the pattern. Whether you see this as prudent long-term planning or as a genuinely unsettling signal about what the world's most informed people expect is coming, the underlying behavior tells its own story. The people with the most information and the most resources to act on it are quietly moving toward higher ground. That's worth paying attention to, regardless of whether you ever plan to buy a mountain of your own. If this gave you a new look inside how the ultra-wealthy actually think about the future, subscribe to WealthVaultX. We go inside the vault every week. One question before you go: is this smart long-term planning or a sign that billionaires know something the rest of us don't? Tell us below. This was WealthVaultX.